Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Roddy here, and today I'm going to take a bet and say this is probably the most controversial video that I'm going to have. I just don't know, just something in me tells me that today we're going to talk about the iPhone 13 Pro. So first things first, I'm going to get this out of the way. I've been a long time iPhone user until the iPhone 6S. So I had a 6S Plus. It was a big phone. The first time you had the big phone and all this kind of stuff, that phone was riddled with problems. Laggy, crashing, battery issues, screen had to be replaced twice, and not for me breaking it because there were pixel issues. Apps closing, apps not working for days, stuff like on social media apps where I would write something or post something and it act like it was going somewhere and it never posted, just bloop, gone. That's when I started carrying two devices. I got an iPhone XR and then I got an S10e. I upgraded and got an 11 Pro and then I got a Note 10 Plus. And then last year when I went to upgrade my Note and get my Z Fold, they told me that if I went ahead and upgraded my iPhone as well, I could get $1,000 for it. So, sounds like a good plan to me. So I upgraded and I got just the 13 Pro. Didn't really expect anything great out of it, and I can go ahead and give you an early preview to the rest of this video. By far the best iPhone I've ever had, but also one of the best phones I've ever owned, period. First thing is first is design. Frosted glass back should be on every device, and everyone should take this phone apart and really research how well Apple has done this. They're doing frosted backs on their phones. This frosted glass feels nicer than any other device out there. It's just a small step above everything else that I've touched and used. This screen, while so many people talk about they can't tell a big difference between iPhone screens going from 60 hertz to 120 hertz, they're crazy. When you use an Android device next to an iPhone on a regular basis and have been for a few years, you can just tell how great Samsung panels are. And I know Samsung makes panels for iPhones, but just how smooth and glossy this feels and uninterrupted. The haptics are really good. The touch sensitivity is very good. Colors are just great. I catch myself all the time, just because this is a smaller form factor than some of the other phones I'm using, watching video on this because it is a little bit easier to hold because it is small. But while we're talking about design, I just want to tell you one of the key features of this phone is that screen, and it's great. It's flat. You can get a really nice screen protector for it, and you can do like I did, and I got a matte screen protector for the front, a glass screen protector for the front, so that the front and the back feel identical. So let's talk about some of the things that I don't like that have to do with design, and that is this bezel. You can't look at it without it getting smudges and fingerprints on it. I mean, this just is, it's gross looking. It's just bad. It just looks dirty, and for me, it drives me insane. So let's talk a little bit more about the actual phone, how I use this, kind of what I like about it, give you some of the things I don't like about it, and what I think about it compared to what we have now with an iPhone 14, and should you get one, because you can get these pretty cheap now, right? So let's just talk about that. So probably the big thing that I'll tell you about this device is if you are a big video person, I'm going to be very specific, not a mobile camera person, very specific in video. I still think to this day, something about the iPhone kills it when it comes to taking video. I think that it's one of the best phones to use for mobile video. Yes, it does have some of those flarings and really bright sunlight if you get direct light on it, or if you're shooting at night, you're still going to get those little phantom flares. I think that there's other phones out there that are close to this, but as far as just pulling it out of your pocket, walking around and filming or running or chasing your kids or your dog or whatever, it is just so much better with action and moving, and I don't know, just something about the video that comes out of it is just a little bit better than some of the other devices that I'm using. Now, I've used other devices and they do take very good video, but I would say Apple still is the king of video. Pictures, on the other hand, completely different story. And that is because I have been saying this for years. I prefer the kind of dynamic look that you get out of Samsung. I prefer the more natural, crisp, almost DSLR or mirrorless camera look that you get out of a Pixel. And Apple's just kind of giving you kind of almost like a basic image. That's just, they're just kind of playing it safe. Because they play it safe, that means you can trust this device. When you're taking a photo, you can just snap it, and you know it's probably going to be pretty decent. It may not be the best, but it's definitely not the worst, and in low light it's decent. So yeah, I mean, it's trustworthy, but I can kind of look through social media and go, yeah, all these pictures are on iPhone just because they're so basic looking. So if you're somebody that's really looking for a photography based phone, this is probably not it. If you're into video, it's great for that. If you're somebody that reads a lot on their phone, I definitely think this is one of the best screens out there for that. It's just smooth. It gets really clear, really bright, really crisp. If you're someone that does a lot of work intensive things, like you do a lot of file management, you're doing a lot of stuff via email, you're doing a lot of that kind of work stuff from your phone, I would hesitate to get an iPhone if you're doing a lot of that on your mobile. You're doing light stuff, it's totally fine. This is really more for the masses. This is kind of more generalized everyday use. If you're just wanting a phone to be a good phone, that you occasionally browse social media, you take a few pictures and videos, you text a lot, and you're in the Apple ecosystem and most of your friends have an iPhone, great device for that. But if you're somebody that traveling abroad and international and you're trying to do a lot of work on the go, whether it's downloading PDFs or jumping in and out of multiple email applications, you're trying to edit a spreadsheet or look at it, or even down to like some creative stuff where you're trying to like on the fly, like maybe edit your website in a pinch, or just do some light graphic designs and stuff just using apps. This phone is not great for that. It's more built around an everyday average consumer. Somebody just wants a good phone that's just really good, that just works really well, that they don't have to worry about it, that's got great battery life, that's got great brightness, that's got a great screen, it's got decent cameras, great video, and just an overall premium feel. This thing. One of the things that I can attest to is battery life. So for the most part, 9 times out of 10, when I'm carrying this device, it's getting really good battery life. It's not getting the battery life that everyone said it would get, which I was a little disappointed. And granted, this is just a 13 Pro, not a Pro Max, but everyone talked about how fantastic the Pro and the Pro Max were. And I can get through a day with plenty of battery, several hours of use, no problem. But as far as turning this into a 2-day device, it's not even close. But I don't have battery anxiety with this. Even if I wake up very early in the morning, like 5:36, 4:30, whatever, say I'm gonna go for a bike ride, I'm using super intensive apps that track my location and all of my biking and everything that I do like that. Take lots of pictures, lots of photos, pictures and photos, it's kind of the same thing. Video, all that stuff, no problem using this connected to a smartwatch or whatever. It's going to get me through the end of the day plus some. And that's a long, extensive day of use. Shooting, like if I go to take this and I'm shooting it for some B-roll or whatever, taking pictures with it, really pushing this thing with no extra charge or plugins or anything like that, fantastic for that. The battery life does fine. But if you're wanting a device that's a 2-day device, you're like, hey, I'm jumping through airports, or you know, don't have my charger with me sometimes, or whatever, or you just can't afford to plug it in and it doesn't charge and you still need to go do what you need to do and have a phone, probably the Pro Max will be better for you. I haven't tested that device, but I've just heard everyone talk about it. But this device does not come close to 2 days, maybe like a day and a half, and that's probably me pushing it. But really good battery, one I don't have to worry about, one I'm not watching all day, one I'm not like going, okay, I'm at 50%, I probably should go plug it in. No, I'll just run with it. And it's been fine for that. I can't tell you another device that has been as smooth running as this. I've had occasional issues, hiccups with certain apps not loading, and I have to close them and open back up, but they usually open right back up and they're fine. And I blame that more on the app development, because the actual iOS experience, which is something I have not been a fan of, nor have I had a very good experience with, has been nothing but super smooth on this. I've had zero issues. No issues with Bluetooth or Wi-Fi connection, no issues with AirDrop, no issues with connecting a set of headphones or smartwatch or the Apple Watch to it. Seamlessly worked via you know, sending text messages or making phone calls from my watch over or from my car over. All those things worked really well. And just everything that's in iOS, and now I'm running iOS 16, and everything is just super buttery smooth. I can't report any major crashes, lags, or issues with the last 3 or 4 updates. I've had a few things where the phone would get stuck in landscape mode, like if I was in YouTube watching a video and I had it like this and I'd go out of it. Sometimes it's like it never would switch in that app, and I thought it was just the app, but then I would like go to text somebody and like everything was over to one side and it just got hung up. But that was probably 6 or 7 months ago, so multiple updates since then, and had no issues with overheating or the phone getting just extremely hot. I've had times where it's gotten a little hot around the cameras, but that's mostly when I was really pushing them and using them. The iPhone 13 Pro is one of the safest buys that you can get, and I would say that I would probably go for this over a regular iPhone 14, even an iPhone 14 Pro. Yeah, and the reason why is just because it's so affordable and it's so good. You know, there's nothing wrong with it. It's almost the exact same design, and I 100% recommend this. One of the best phones I've used all year. One of the nicest phones I've used in several years, and I just don't think you can go wrong nowadays if you're picking up a pro level iPhone. That's been it for me, guys. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you want to see more of this. I'll have all the details to the cases that I'm rocking, the screen protectors that I'm using, in the link below, and we'll see you guys next time.